listening to Combat Sports UK.
Combat Sports UK.
Rob Smith here for Combat Sports UK. I'm joined by Emmanuel Ojo, as he prefers, a ShockNAwe title fight. Emmanuel, how are we doing today, mate?
Fine, thank you. Yourself?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. So let's jump straight into it. You've got a big fight coming up against Ben Edwards. So kind of talk about that matchup. What do you know about your opponent?
What I know about my opponent, he's tall southpaw, good record. Yeah, it'll be a fun fight.
And so you mentioned how your opponent he's got a very good record. I believe he's 6-1. And he's a former Cage Warriors Academy title holder. So was it a case of when you came to I think some amateurs kind of do it differently, but I guess when you're fighting for titles, you want to put yourself against the best fighters you can. I guess that's the case with this fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a good matchup. Good record, like I said. Yeah, it's a fight I really got up for. Yeah, so hopefully it'll be fun.
And so where do you think a win against Ben, what do you think that does for your career?
It gets me another belt. Yeah, it's a good name on my record. And I guess how can I put it? It like further establishes me, isn't it? Like makes me look good getting a good win against a worthy opponent. Yeah.
So are you at the stage now in your career where you want to rack up as many titles as you can?
Yeah, that was the goal from the beginning, just rack up titles, build a good record. Like I don't want to go pro until like I've got double figure wins personally. And like, yeah, grab as many titles as I can on the way. Title defenses count as well. So yeah.
And so what are your long-term MMA goals? You mentioned how you don't want to go pro until you've got double-digit wins. And I know, I'm curious what you think on this. Some people say that they have like a set amount of fights before they want to go pro. Some people say 10, 15, or some people say they listen to the coaches and look, because some people could be ready like 8 fights in. Their coach will say, "Oh, we think you're ready to take the shot." So what's it like for you? What are your goals for what is your kind of, I'm not sure what the word is. What is your plan for turning pro, would you say?
Well, when I win this fight, this will be my third belt, so yeah, I'd be used to that. It's not even so much titles anymore or opponents. There's just stuff I want to test out before I turn pro. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like certain techniques. Yeah. I feel like I can get pushed a bit more, especially at this new weight class. I don't think I've got at the 2-minute mark as a welterweight, which, yeah, can't really say I enjoy. Like I really wanted to get into a tear up. So I'm hoping this one. I looked the other day. He hasn't been finished. Yeah, he's only lost one fight. Yeah, he's had 5-round fights. I haven't experienced that yet. Obviously, this one's a 3-round fight. I want to get some proper cage time. This fight and my coming fights. I want to get like 4+ fights this year as well, and be really active. Yeah, that's about it really.
I'm quite curious as to how every sort of fighter does a training camp for a fight. So do you kind of do your training camp based off, you kind of just focus on what you do well, you're not really focused on your opponent, or do you kind of watch tape on your opponent, kind of base your game plan for what they do well as yourself?
At this level, I don't think you really got to do that personally. I know people do, but for me, I feel, because not to be arrogant, I'm quite well rounded. You know what I mean? Like I've got like a broad skill set.
Yeah.
So I just focus on myself, to be honest.
Yeah.
I focus on myself, my skill set, my team just help me become the best martial artist I can be. And yeah, the opponent doesn't really matter to me. Obviously, that will change as obviously when I become a pro, you go up a few levels. So yeah, I'm gonna have to start watching tape and all that stuff. But currently, I don't do any of that. My team do, but yeah, for me personally, I don't really look up my opponents like that.
I think that's quite a good mindset to have. I think at the amateur game, I think you find a lot of I'm not sure what your take on this is, but I think a lot of amateurs take it a little bit too serious in that regard, where like they treat it as if they're professional fighters. Whereas I think the most important thing with amateurs is just getting the rounds in and just being active. I think activity is the most important thing. I don't really think record matters a great deal. Of course, it's good to have a good record, and obviously everyone wants to be undefeated. But if you're fighting, you could be 15-0 and fought absolute nobodies. But if you're say 4-4, but you've fought absolute killers, I think that's beneficial for you. So I think that's quite a good mindset to have. Would you say that's something that you've always kind of had going in, or as you've developed through your amateur career, that's a mindset you've developed?
Yeah, these belts, my record, they're all really for my ego. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, I just like to fight. Like I like to be challenged, and yeah, I've always I've always enjoyed fighting. Yeah, this is just a more responsible route. Uh, yeah, at this level, I think it's just activity, challenging yourself as well. Like, but yeah, all this game planning and stuff. Personally, I've had so many like fights fall through, like opponents pull out and stuff like that. It's just like at this point, I'm just happy when someone shows up. So yeah, just like I said, focus on myself, focus on my team, just be the best martial artist I can be. And these belts are just for the ego.
What is that like when you build up, you do so much hard work for fighting, it falls through like last minute. What I've never, because I've never had a fight in my life, so I never know what that feeling's like. Can you kind of explain the emotions, like what it's like to have someone a fight fall through so last minute?
Do you mind what kind of language I use?
No, you go for it, man. No, you're good.
When fights fall through, it pisses me the fuck off, to be honest.
Hmm.
Like, what the hell did you fucking sign up for in the first place if you weren't going to show up? Like the amount of, I don't think I've had a fight where I haven't showed up injured. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I showed up, like, so I just don't get it. Why did you book yourself in if you were going to bitch out? That's how I
Hmm.
feel about it.
And so one question I always ask the first time I interview someone is, I think people always get curious, what influenced you to start fighting in MMA in the first place?
Pardon?
So the first time I interview someone, one of the first questions I ask them is, what made you start MMA?
Fighting's the only thing I've ever really been good at, to be honest. Yeah, obviously I watched all the things you watched as a kid regarding martial arts and all that stuff, the cartoons and all that stuff. I have relatives that are lifelong martial artists, friends that are. Yeah, I've always loved, been passionate about combat. So yeah, that's why I got into MMA. I wish I got into it earlier, but obviously everyone's time comes when it comes.
I think you made a good point there. I think people I think assume MMA is a young man's game. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think you see people who start a little bit later on in life. Like a good example in the UK MMA scene is Paul Reed. He didn't have his first fight till he was 35, and he fought into
Mm.
his 50s, and he was like he was such a well-known name in UK MMA. So I think as much as it's always good to get in early if you can, but I don't think necessarily you have to get in at such a young age. You can have success a little bit later on in life.
Yeah, I do agree with you, but honestly, I'm so far past my prime. I was an absolute little bastard in my late teens, early 20s, so it would have been interesting. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, I'm more
Hmm.
civilized these days. So, yeah, it would have been interesting getting in earlier, but obviously, like I said, everyone's time comes when it comes, isn't it? Obviously, my time
Hmm.
came a little later, but at least it's here.
And so my final question is, I've done a preview interview with Ben himself, and he predicted submission finish. He said that's the one finish he hasn't got in his record yet, so he'll be looking for the submission. So can we get your reaction to that, and can we also get an official prediction from yourself?
Okay. Um, like I said, I just want to get in there and enjoy it. I don't really care how I've had all sorts of finishes, so I don't really care how the finish comes.
Hmm.
I doubt I will see the final bell, but yeah, I don't really care how the finish comes. However he chooses to go out is how the fight will end. To be honest, he ain't submitting me. That's for sure. He's not submitting me.
Well, Emmanuel, I want to thank you for coming on, mate. It's been a pleasure speaking to you. I wish you the best luck on March 15th.
Cheers, mate. Nice speaking to you.
You too, mate. Best of luck.
Take care, mate.